Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Buoy 10 updates. It is 2017 and it is August 1st, which means the season has started up once again. Here we go. Another 40 days straight, but hey, this is going to be another great season. We got about 1 million fish coming back in about a 6-week period. It should be a good one. And here's the bright spot. 2 of them, in fact. First is we have a better tide set the way that this season started out, and that's been evident here already today and the last few days fishing up here in Astoria, which we'll get to in just a moment. 2, we actually have a better run of A-run coho, which for the most part, really that's what makes this fishery, is that A-run coho, because that is what gives us a lot of that action. We've already seen a few coho caught here already. The ocean's full of them, even from Buoy 4 out to the CR, so that's encouraging. I guess let's just get right into the report. A little bit later on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a gear breakdown and show you exactly what we're using down here, what's been effective, what hasn't. But essentially a pocket drop in a way. But what we're going to do right now is just go ahead and go into today's report, and then either later on tonight when the wind dies down or when I get the boat cleaned up a little bit more, I can actually do a in-depth breakdown of what we got in the boat here, because this is actually new boat for me this year too. Okay, so let's get into today's report. So first, let's discuss what happened last couple days. It's been open above the bridge, and it's been very, very good above the bridge on the Washington side for Chinook. So we expected today that the fact that we can now fish below the bridge, man, we're just going to go out there and just gonna crush them. Well, we had a ton of bait move in, so much so that there were actually whales up at the shipwreck, and that really hurt the bite a little bit later on in the tide. First part of the tide, it actually turned out pretty good. I started out thinking that on these softer tides, using the 360 flasher with like a little 3.5 size spinner, I thought that was going to be the move. And our first pass through, I started a little bit further downriver than I should have, but again, it was the first day we could fish below the bridge, so I wanted to see what was down there. So made my first pass through, finally got up to the rest area, and as soon as I got to that part where it started shallowing up a little bit, boom, we had a quad. 4 fish on at once. I'm thinking, man, here we go. Buoy 10 has officially begun. We lost one, let one go, and kept 2 out of that quad, and man, I'm thinking, here we go. Season started, we're gonna take out early. That didn't happen. Next pass, we missed 2 that didn't stick, and the bite died. Didn't see another net for about an hour and a half. And I remember yesterday when we fished above the bridge, going back to the triangle flashers, back to the fish flash, that seemed to really help. You know, get your gear down near the bottom and target those fish as they suck down on the outgoing tide. Well, they were there, but the problem was that there was so much bait. It was impossible. Your rod tips were just chattering the whole time. You're coming up with anchovies stuck to your hooks. It was really tough fishing. So eventually I just bailed on the Washington side and jumped over to the Oregon side. One mistake I made though this morning is that after we had that quad and then missed the 2, I decided I wanted to get away from the bait and get away from that number of boats. Well, what ended up happening is that I got away from the fish too. I ran all the way down to Red Roof, just past the RV park, what a lot of people call the church hole, and it was just chock full of bait, and that killed about 45 minutes of my morning when we could have potentially been catching fish. What we ended up doing was jumping over to the Oregon side on the outgoing tide, and we fished, really I just kept lines in from the ship anchorage above the bridge all the way on down past Hammond, past the green line, past Hammond, all the way out to the red line, out to Buoy 22, and that wind picked up and it got nasty, really nasty, which happens when it gets hot in the valley. So anytime it gets really hot in the valley, most times you're going to get a lot of wind here at the coast, which is what we saw today. By about noon, 1 o'clock at the latest, we had solid 3-4 foot rollers, just those wind waves that were lapping up, white capping out there, and that made it pretty tough to control the boat and keep your gear fishing. However, right there from about the Hammond entrance down to Buoy 22, we had a pretty good bite at 30 feet on line counters, just trolling spinners and anchovies, and we scratched out 2 or 3 more. So all in all, we ended the day at about 1:45 to 2 o'clock right in there. We got all of our Chinook for the boat. That's great. Released a couple. awesome. Missed a handful of bites too. This is already by far and away a way better start to our Buoy 10 season than what we saw last year. Last year on August 1st, we actually filmed an episode for the TV show, and I think we scratched out 2 or 3 fish total, and that was the exact number of bites that we had too. Today we had a lot of bites, great action. I made a couple mistakes, but it's August 1st. So we'll see what happens here tomorrow. It's the smallest tide here today. Tides should start growing. We'll see how that affects these fish. But what's great is that there's a lot of fish out in the ocean, Chinook and coho. There's a lot of fish in the river. We marked a lot, and we saw probably 50, 60 fish get caught. So that is our Buoy 10 update, our first one of the 2017 season here for today. And a little bit later on, we'll do a gear breakdown and show you guys the new boat and how to be equipped for fishing down here at Buoy 10. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later on.